Again, this is Mr. Santana. Just want to go over what it would look like to determine an original cost when you have a discounted price and you know what the percent off or the discount percent was. Okay, so let's read the problem and go through it, okay? Willie purchased a pair of sneakers that cost him $81.25 after the discount. If the store was having a 35% off sale when he purchased them, what was the original price of the sneakers? Round to the nearest cent and show your work. Okay, so as it stands, looking at what we have here, the question specifically says, what was the original price of the sneakers? Okay, so that means it must have been higher because you have a 35% off sale that was occurring when he bought them. So that means he didn't pay full price. He paid whatever this is that's less than the original price. So we're being asked to determine the original price. But in order to do that, you have to understand a few things. First and foremost, let's look at what we have here, right? So I want you to imagine for a moment that this is the 100 grid, meaning it's 100%, right? And 35% off tells you that we took off, and it should look something like this, right? And all of this came off. Okay, all of that came off. So that is the 35%. So from that, what was left over? What was left over? Well, if you simply take away 35 from 100, you get what was left over. And that's 65%. Sorry, that should look more like a 5. So 65% is what was left over. So you need to understand that 65% in this particular case is the $81.25 because that is what he paid, which is what was left to pay after the 35% off. So in our setup, you have to understand this, right? This is equivalent to what we would need in order to solve this, right? So I'm going to use this color because if I create a proportion, then this would be 65% out of 100. Okay, and that has to create the same relationship between the original price and the 81.25. That's just how it is. So as I've told you before, for our grade level, we're going to move this over there, right? And we're going to put it with the 65%. So the equation that you get is the following. 0.65 times n, which is the original price, was supposed to give you 81.25, which makes sense because if we were finding out what 35% was, we would multiply that by the original price. So this makes sense. 65% is what was left. We're trying to use this equation in order to solve it. So now you just have to use inverse operations, and you're going to divide away the 0.65 from the variable so that you can tell what the value of the variable is. So if you do that on the left side of the equal sign, you have to do it on the right. So what you get is the following, and let me point out, use purple, that 0.65 divided by 0.65 is 1. So 1 times n is just n. Okay, 1 times n is just n. So going back, now we go to the calculator and we type in 81.25 divided by 0.65. And that gives you 125. So the original cost of the sneakers was $125. And since it does say round to the nearest cent, we're just going to put 2 zeros up here. $125.00. That is it.